Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Absolute Martian Manhunter #1. This is a new book from the Absolute line of DC Comics. This is very exciting stuff. I'm very excited because of multiple things. First of all, Martian Manhunter, just a really cool character. The creative team here is amazing. And then also the Absolute line absolutely has been kicking ass every single series. So before this, we have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, most recently The Flash, and then of course now the debut of Martian Manhunter. We also have a Green Lantern, Absolute Green Lantern coming. Yeah, just great stuff. But let's talk about the creative team. This is written by Dennis Camp, who has been kicking ass over at Marvel with the Ultimate line, with art by Javier Rodriguez. We'll talk about Javier Rodriguez in a minute because I feel like, as much as I enjoy his art, I understand it to be a little bit polarizing because it's very non-traditional. And then letters by the multiple time winner and nominated Eisner letter Hassan Osmani El. What a team. What a team. So in this issue, beyond Mars, beyond physical form, beyond human understanding, all that is left is the ultimate alien, the absolute Martian Manhunter. I'm gonna say a few things. This comic is absolutely bonkers. Like, this is not a straightforward story. As much as the other books in the Absolute line have been a traditional story, this is more of a mystery. This is more of a little thriller, and it's all really glued and held down together by this wonderful stories is held down together by Rodriguez's art that goes into the psychedelic. It goes into the unimaginable. It is just absolutely fantastic. Just a great concept. I do feel like, unfortunately, this may be the most divisive title so far in the Absolute line because of how non-traditional it is. But that's what I like about what DC is doing. They are taking big swings. They are putting everything they can out there, and they're just trying to make really cool, entertaining, weird shit. And what else would you want in a comic book series other than to give you some really cool, entertaining shit like that? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for art that pushes the boundaries. I'm looking for concepts that can't be done in other media. And the things that Rodriguez and Camp are doing in this book, they would be very hard to adapt to another thing. Although I would love to see, now that I'm talking about it, Noah Hawley, who did Legion, would probably have a decent grasp on this material. But either way, this is just a great start to the series. I'm really looking forward to seeing people talk about it online, at least the ones that have valid criticisms or maybe just interesting things to say. There's a lot of things that I missed. I read this twice because there's so much going on. The way that Rodriguez uses colors in this book, the way that it's just so surreal, the imagery, it is incredible. Like the main cover tells you everything you need to know about this book. But even the variant covers, they're so abstract when compared to like what I'm gonna call traditional superhero comics. But this is still a superhero comic. It is just in a more non-traditional way, in a way that maybe we should try to look more towards. So I'm very excited. This was great. I can't wait to pick this up on my shop. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for Wonder Woman 19, a new book from the All In series in DC Comics. This is the Fury finale, written by Tom King, with art by Daniel St. Pierre, Tommy Moret on colors, letters by Clayton Cowles. In this issue, Diana's bloody war with the Sovereign reaches its epic conclusion. The Sovereign took away Wonder Woman's world, and now she has taken away his. As their war reaches its end, the two icons prepare for battle. Who will emerge victorious? Find out as Diana's quest for peace comes to a bloody end. Um, Not as bloody as probably promised in the literal sense, but there's definitely a lot that happens here that I think Tom King is setting up for the next story. I just love Daniel St. Pierre's art. I think he just really has this world down, like his aesthetic and everything that the way that the book is presented, it just works really well with the way that Tom King is telling the story, which is out of sequence, right? There's a lot of things that happen in between different panels. We jump back and forth between the story. Even the first page has a 6 panel recap that tells you so much about all the stuff that you need to know. And of course, Saint Pierre draws Wonder Woman and all the Wonder Girls like in very cool like cool character designs, which I really appreciate every time we see them. We get to see a little bit of Lizzie grown up in here. And then, of course, like I mentioned, Diana has a secret, and Diana has a special mission for the or a special punishment for the sovereign. I don't know. I'm really a really big fan of Tom King, but there's so much more to uncover in this book that I feel like this is gonna read a lot better for a lot of people altogether, because you're really just being it's almost as if you are talking to the sovereign through a cell, which is one of the things that we see here, where Lizzie's trying to get the full story of what's going on. And of course, a lot of the DC comics this week, they have a really nice preview for the Absolute Green Lantern that should be coming out very soon. Um, yeah, we don't have a release date for the Absolute Green Lantern, but I'm very glad that we're getting a preview. I'm very excited to get into that book. We've had a lot of success with the Absolute line over at DC. So, hello everyone, Danny here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Peacemaker Presents Vigilante Eagly Double Feature. As you can see, I got this really nice foil cover by Mitch Gerards, and I'm very excited. I love the world of Peacemaker, and this is directly tied into the show. We have two stories, one for Vigilante and one for Eagly. Something really interesting that the book let me know right away. Eagly was created by James Gunn. I didn't realize that Eagly was a character for the show that now has made it into the comic books. This is both stories are consulted by James Gunn, but the first one, the Vigilante one, is written by Tim Seeley, with art by Mitch Gerards, letters by Pat Brousseau, and then the Eagly story is written by Rex Ogle, with pencils and inks by Matteo Loli, uh, John Callis on colors, and Pat Brousseau on letters. Um, I mean, first of all, having Mitch Gerards back in my comic book pages feels really cool, especially in a comic like this where it's going to be full of just like really gnarly action. As he does the vigilante story, like things are going to pop off, things are going to be. Uh, I like that Gerards likes to do the characters that are very recognizable, but they're not really photorealistic, right? Never goes for that, but it really, really looks like the actor that portrays Vigilante. So that's really fun. It really brings you back to that world. But this is silly. I mean, this is a Tim Silly story, so this is definitely weird and silly and full of violence. So I'm very excited to see how this is going to play out and what Vigilante can do when he gets up to his own devices. And then, of course, we have the Eagly story, which is just as gnarly uh, because Eagly is a badass. We've seen that in the show. The art is very different. This is a lot more cartoony when compared to the Mitch Gerard's art. So, which makes sense. I think makes sense for a character like Eagly to have an artist that does things that are a little bit more stylized, and then you can really push the violence, especially because you're having this Eagle do all this stuff with Peacemaker. So it's really fun to see their relationship. It's fun to see them hanging out, and then of course to see a little bit more Peacemaker in his element, and then out of his element, but always with his sidekick by his side. So yeah, this was really exciting. Of course, they also get into shenanigans and a lot of problems. Like I said, I really love this foil variant. I thought it was very cool, and I'm glad I was able to find it at my shop. So make sure to go check this out. And if you have read it, let me know what you thought about it down in the comments. Hello, everyone. Daniel here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review of Batman number 158, aka Batman Hush 2. Just like the original series, the Hush storyline is going to take place during 6 different issues of the Batman series. It'll take a break and then come back. We'll talk more about all that stuff in later on. Let's talk about the creative team, though. We have the gang back: Jeff Loeb on writing duties, Jim Lee, Scott Williams, and Alex Sinclair. Classic trio of comic book stuff. And of course, we have the hotly anticipated sequel to the smash hit storyline. An all new epic saga begins here. Hush returns. Um, all right, let's get into this. I'm not gonna spoil anything. I just want to tell you my feelings as I was reading this book. First of all, there was a bit of trepidation going into this book because Hush is one of the first storylines that I read getting into comic books. Like when I was first getting into comic books, a lot of people recommended Hush. I also recommend it to new readers because it's a fun way to learn a lot about the DC universe. And I think if you go into it not knowing the mystery, it unfolds in a really fun fashion. Even if you go in knowing the mystery or the reveal of everything, like it's still fun to see how the team put it together. Of course, Jim Lee, like no one does classic comic book art like Jim Lee, right? Now, whether that's to advantage or the detriment of the book, that'll be up to the reader, because not everyone likes the art. The comic book art has changed so much over the past, however long it's been since the original Hush, that yeah, some people prefer less traditional art. Like I think Jim Lee has a very specific style. I do appreciate that Scott Williams has come back to ink him because I feel like Williams always adds a new layer to Jim Lee's work. And then of course Alex Sinclair, like they're ride or die really here. And we do have letters by Richard Starkings. I did not go back to check if he had done the original lettering, but I imagine so. I imagine that the idea here was to reunite the gang. Now, my other trepidation was because this is a gimmick, and gimmicks sometimes they don't fully pay off, especially in comic books. But I appreciate a gimmick. I appreciate a swing like this. Uh, I enjoy the story overall. I found it entertaining. I didn't find the art to be distracting. If anything, I was like, oh, this just kind of takes me back. Like, if you kind of let the nostalgia like drive you by some of this stuff, if you have no nostalgia for this art, it's gonna be probably a little bit rough to kind of get into it, because, like I said, it's for a very specific period of time. You can just see it from the cover, and you'll see some of the preview art, floating around the video as well. So um, I'm excited. This book is all gas, no breaks. Like they really go for it from the beginning. Messed up things happen. Now, I don't know exactly how much this falls into the continuity, or if they were like just like we're gonna do the story, whatever else is happening in the world of DC. Like it feels a little disjointed from the larger continuity, which had not really been an issue for me in the all-in era of DC Comics. But either way, you guys know I love Batman, and you guys know I love Hush. So like, to be? How am I supposed to not be excited for this? I don't think this book is for everyone. It's definitely for me, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that if you have any kind of curiosity, you should give this a chance, especially if you have read the original storyline. Even if that wasn't your favorite book of all time, like I think you should still check this out. It's just such a cool feat to kind of put the team back together, right? Like Jim Lee is running like 10,000 things, and Scott Williams is always doing art. I love seeing his work um, on Instagram. Alex Sinclair as well, and then Jeff Loeb. Who knows what he's been doing since he stopped doing television and stuff like that. So. Hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Absolute Wonder Woman number 6. This is a new issue, a whole new arc. We are starting with this is a two-part arc that will bring Wonder Woman into this world and continue to expand everything. This is written by Kelly Thompson with art by Matea de Iulis. We also have letters by Becca Carey. So for these two issues, we will have a fill-in artist, not a fill-in artist, maybe just a different artist, Mataya de Eolis. But from what I've seen, Mataya's done great work. We're going to talk about it. In this book, we have the shocking origin of Diana's deadly weapons. Diana defied the will of the gods by leaving hell, and Hades, Lord of the Underworld, takes that very personally. But when he interrogates her, he tells her tales surprise him. Will it change her fate? kicking off a two-part arc from breakout artists from the Call, Mattia De Ulis. So yeah, Kelly Thompson and Mattia have worked together in the past before. This is very different work though. We also have a backup tale called Little Diana with Kelly Thompson and Dustin Wynn. So that's a lot of fun. Really cool to see that in the back of this. I really enjoyed this issue. I love the way that Kelly Thompson introduces this. Right, last we saw Diana was being dragged back to hell or Hades, and now we know what's going on. And Hades has this whole questioning of Diana, but it really turns into a way to very cool, like just in a very cool way, build out the world, and then explain what's going on with all the gear that Diana carries, how she got, how she's getting all of it, what the powers are from. Like, really explains a lot of her story. Now, the art is very different from Hayden Sherman, but I think it works in a way that because the story is kind of disconnected. We're in a completely separate place, right? We are in hell. Even the design for the gods that we see in this issue is very cool. Specifically Hades, like just kind of like this blue flame, but it changes a little bit. And then of course seeing Diana in different times of her life acquiring these objects, these artifacts that make her the Wonder Woman that we know and love from the first arc. uh, this is going to be really interesting. Also, what does Hades have planned for Diana with the reveal in the last page? And then, of course, the little Diana two-page story. Just a lot of fun. Like Dustin Wynn does some fantastic work when it comes to like these, kind of cute approach to little characters like this. So it's really really fun. So, not what I was expecting from this book at all. Whether it's the arc or the change in things, and even including bringing on a new artist. But yeah, this was great. Definitely enjoyed it. This absolute Wonder Woman book continues to just kick a lot of ass, and I'm very excited to see where we go from here. So, hello everyone, Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Godzilla versus the Fantastic Four #1. This is the Beware of the King of the Monsters series of specials. Marvel doing a lot of these one-shots featuring everyone's favorite King of the Monsters, Godzilla. This is written by Ryan North, who is currently writing the main Fantastic Four books, along with the One World Under Doom series that's kind of taken over Marvel. We also have pencils by John Romita Jr., Scott Hanna on inks, Marshall Menes on colors, letters by Travis Lanham. In this issue, Marvel's greatest heroes must fight Godzilla from across the eras. The battle of the century starts here. The start of 6 sensational action packed issues with Marvel heroes fighting the King of Monsters from its many different eras. How will Godzilla's lore mix with the might of the Marvel Universe? Find out as history is twisted when icons like the Fantastic Four, Spider Man, Hulk, the X Men, and Thor go face off against one of the greatest monsters of all times. In this issue, witness a threat never before seen as King Ghidorah descends upon Earth with the power cosmic as Galactus' new herald. Can the Fantastic Four stop him from destroying New York with the rest of the planet? It's smashing spectacular as Godzilla, with the help of the Silver Surfer, join forces to stop the world from certain annihilation. A must for Marvel and Godzilla fans. I will say that was not a synopsis. That's everything that happened in the book. Very interesting for Marvel to just kind of put it all out there. Maybe they just figure like people are gonna want to read this, regardless of what the story is. Uh, I'm gonna start with. I was not a big fan of the art in this issue. I have enjoyed other Romita Jr.'s work. This one just doesn't really work for me. I don't know whether it's his pencils, the inks. Scott Mann is also not my favorite John Romita inker. So maybe that has something to do with it. It just I don't really like the character designs for the Fantastic Four, or their faces, and even King Ghidorah and Godzilla. They don't they look a little off. Like I feel like Godzilla's head is a little too big in some of these panels. I was just unfortunately not a fan of this artwork. Now that being said, it still all works. I think there's still a lot of things that John Romita does very well when it comes to bringing these things to life. So it may just be a matter of style. Not every like artists evolve as they kind of go through the time, and maybe this is just not my favorite right now. But the story itself, it's a lot of fun. I like the idea. I like the concepts. Like I mentioned in the synopsis, like the idea of King Ghidorah becoming a herald of Galactus is just freaking mind blowing, right? And then of course seeing these two face off, but Ryan North not without giving us first a little treat of maybe Godzilla having to fight the Fantastic Four first, which is how the book opens. How would they combo attacks? How would they team up against Godzilla? What are they going to pull out of that bag of tricks to try to take the King of the Monsters down before they realize that they have to work with him? I do think a lot of these stories are going to be very similar, where it's like, oh, Godzilla shows up and we got to fight Godzilla, but never mind, there's something worse that we got to fight. Um, I hope for the X-Men issue we get maybe like a giant Sentinel that Godzilla has to fight, and the X-Men have to team up with them. But either way, if you're a Godzilla fan, you probably want to check these out because I don't know that this has ever happened before. Maybe it has, just not in my lifetime that I can remember. So make sure to check it out. Hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Naruto number 3. This is the third and I think semi-final installment of this series. This is written by Caleb Gollner with art by Henry Presetia, colors by Raul Angulo, letters by Ed Dukeshire, and of course, this is a collaboration between IDW and Viz Media. In this issue, having guarded April O'Neil on her journey home from the Leaf Village, the TMNT and Team 7 are ready to relax, pick up some dinner, and call it another successful mission. The bright lights of the Big Apple Village cast the dark shadows, though, and when they return upon the turtles' lairs, they've been ransacked. April and Splinter are gone, and there's only one person who could be responsible. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi must help save both of their missing comrades in April's sample of mutagenic ooze before it's too late, or Shredder's single-minded pursuit of power won't just threaten one village, but all of them. This is very straightforward issue. The first part of it, we are just kind of hanging out with the Turtles and Team 7 as they just kind of jump around. I do love the Big Apple Village, that, obviously New York. So I really enjoy that change. And a lot of what I wanted in this book was really Team 7 hanging out with the Turtles, and that's what we're getting in this issue for a big part of it. Now, we know as a reader that things went down at the end of last issue, so they're not going to be pleasantly surprised when they come back. But I think the concept of what Shredder's trying to do with this ooze sample, and there's a few reveals in this issue that I think work very well. I have been a very big fan of the art. I think Presetia really, really nails down the mixture of the aesthetic of what I want to see in a Naruto comic, in a Naruto manga, but with some adjustments to the style to fit a comic book. It's really, really cool. And of course, they have combo powers. They have combo moves, which we hear and are named in this. I love how these characters start off pairing each other with really just following maybe the personalities that fit the best, right? So I really like that. I'm loving the covers by Jorge Jimenez. My shop pulled this other cover for me, which I'm excited to have. This is the Henry Presetia, so this is the same as the interior art. But I'll definitely be picking up a Jorge Jimenez cover in my other shop, because I'm very, very excited to have that as well in my collection. One of the cool things is that IDW and Viz are releasing these items also in a hardcover, single issue hardcover, which I've been collecting as well. So I'm very excited to pick this third one up. So I really like this book. I love both of these properties, so it would just make sense that both of them combined, it just gives me more of both of the things that I want. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, I'll be doing a review for You'll Do Bad Things number one. This is a new book from Image Comics, written by Tyler Boss with art by Adriano Tortolizzi, letters by Hassan Otsmani Elhau. This is a very interesting book from Image, and Tiny Onion, of course, which has a very distinct look. It has a very distinct story, and it's really exciting to get into like this really deep, dark, kind of seedy world. Let me give you a quick synopsis here. It's been 10 years since the release of He Came In With a Smile, the true crime smash hit that chronicled the brutal murders committed by the nursery rhyme killer. But in the decade since its release, its author, Seth Holmes, hasn't produced another title. He wants to write a story with a happy ending, but every time his fingers clack across the keyboard, it always ends with the character's death. Worse yet, these tales of blood and barbarity that flow so freely from Seth's mind are starting to happen in real life. This book is a mind trip. I had to go back and check out a few things, just because there is a lot being thrown at you like right off the bat. Especially, I didn't read the synopsis, so I went in like I wanted to make sure like, is this a story that I can, you know, understand and enjoy without having an idea of what's going on. So, and then once you read the synopsis and you kind of recontextualize everything, it's great. It is just a dark, gritty crime thriller, with a little bit of like this. Is it supernatural? Is it just something else that's going on? Like, why are these stories coming to life now? The book, like I said, is pretty grim. It's very much in your face. I think one of the things that I found most interesting is that in the art itself is never colored in a very traditional way. It always has like this neon look, because a lot of things are happening at night, or like these washes of color. So it's never just like the regular colors you would expect on something, right? Even sometimes you'll have characters fully washed out in like a different color. So I think Tertullucci is definitely bringing or using that to evoke this like this vibe or this feeling of like something's eerie, something's off, something like this was a dark world. uh and I think that as the team goes, as the team tells the story, and Tyler Boss unravels more of this mystery, I think things are going to get very exciting. Like I said, it is grim. It's just very dark. It is very gritty. So if you're looking for something that feels like a crime neo noir, I would call it. I think this is a fun book. Like I said, we don't know how much they're gonna push the envelope, but as you get to that last page, you'll see that they're really going in a lot of places where things are really really bad, as the title suggests. Um, and then of course the idea of this killer, like it just pretty wild, like how things are happening in the world. Um, I I hope we get a little bit more of the character of Seth to fully understand his motivation, other than just trying to come up with another book. Like what's the mind block? What's his mental block? Why or can he even get past that and figure out how to write a happy ending at some point? Either way, this was very cool. Like I really enjoyed it. I don't know how long the series is gonna be, but I'll read one more issue before deciding if it's something I want to wait for the trade, or if it's something that I just want to kind of continue on a monthly basis. I'm a big fan of crime stories at the moment. Like it's something that I really leaned into, so it's really fun. But like I said, this one pretty intense. So hello, everyone. Dan here from the Next Issue Podcast. On today's video, we'll be doing a review for We're Taking Everyone Down With Us, number one. This is a new book from Image Comics, and I'm very excited to get into this. This is a Rook spy thriller, and this is written by Matthew Rosenberg with art by Stefano Landini, colors by Roman Titov and Jason Wardy, letters by Hassan Otsmane Elhau. Um, and of course, a great talented um, series of creators here for this book. In this book, this is a explosive double-sized first issue, so it was a pretty big. You get about 40 pages of story. After her mad scientist father is killed by the world's greatest spy. 13-year-old Annalise is left all alone in the world, sort of. Her dead dad's robot bodyguard is following her around for some reason. Now Annalise has a choice: try to lead a normal life for the first time ever, or seek revenge, or maybe overthrow the world order in the process. Image presents a journey of regret, retribution, super spies, pseudoscience, growing up in global domination by brilliant artist Stefano Landini. With this is from the synopsis with OK writer Matthew Rosenberg. Matthew Rosenberg is a fantastic writer and a fantastic creator. So, make sure to go tell him that he's not just okay. But I really enjoyed this book, especially because I went into this book without having read the synopsis and not really knowing, other than seeing the cover of that bloody hand and the kind of torn hand holding it. Um, I didn't know anything about this book, and this book stars with a very interesting game of hide and seek. And as the world starts unraveling, you think the protagonist is like maybe some scientist that's trying to save the world, but there's always like these little weird things that Rosenberg throws in there to kind of like clue you in that maybe this dude is not a good dude. And very quickly we find that out. Um, I love that there's a few pages of like these tiny little panels where there's a conversation happening. I find that very interesting, especially because if you're trying to read something, I would always rather just read a lot of little word bubbles than just a gigantic word bubble or two big word bubbles of characters having a conversation. Now, you can do this when you're doing like a double sized issue like this because you have like the few extra pages to really unravel the story and really build out the conversation. Uh, I want to say I don't know much about the art team really. Landini's work, I don't know. I'm sure if I start going through like all the stuff that Landini's worked on, I'll recognize something. But man, oh man, I really like the work. Like it just looks very cool. The robots look cool. The design of everything, like people in this world feel real, and they all very much they look distinct from one another, which sometimes can be a thing where when you're trying to make up characters that don't exist and trying to build out this world, sometimes people end up kind of looking sometimes very samey, but not in this case. I really like it. I like the reveal of like, oh, this is a mad scientist, and there's this spy agency. There's a really cool panel where you just fully get clued in on like, oh, this dude is the bad guy, but he's trying to be a good dad, or trying his best. I guess I don't know how much of a evil person in the world would be able to find that. And then we're introduced to the spy agency, and you get a lot of those tropey things with the spies. Uh, and it's very funny. Like I find that Matthew Rosenberg. I don't know if he's trying to be comedic, but I found myself laughing at some of these moments because it was just some kind. It's kind of a ridiculous situation where that's playing on a lot of the tropes and themes that we know from a James Bond type of story or something like that. I think it just really works. Landini does some really fun stuff with the panels, but when it's time for big things to happen, there's a double spread page that just kind of blew me away. No pun intended. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it. This was great. I really, really love this. One of my favorite things to come out this week, and I'm very excited for the rest of this. I'm really, really excited to see where we go from here. I'm gonna read this next issue and then decide if I want to wait for the trade or for the arc to be completed or keep reading monthly. But maybe it's because it was a big part of the story because it was a double-sized issue. But I really enjoyed this, and I would read this month to month as of now. But we'll see if that pacing continues as we go into the book. So great work, everybody that had anything to do with this book. This week, we are going to be doing a review for an upcoming comic book. It's coming out next week, and I'm pretty excited about it because all the other Universal Monsters books have been so cool. We're going to be talking about The Mummy #1. This is by Faith Erin Hicks with Lee Loughridge on colors. Of course, part of the Universal Monsters. Oh man, there's so many cool covers of this. So I'm very, very excited to get into it. But Jeff, before I give you a synopsis, What did you think of this book?
I really enjoyed it. I've read I've out of these Universal Monster books, I've read the Frankenstein, I've read the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I still have not read the Dracula one.
My
But
probably my
it's out in
favorite one.
trade now, so I might go get the trade at some
We
point.
have we have a review copy of the trade too. I'm gonna make you read it.
I'll read it.
Okay.
And then this one feels a little bit different than the two that I've read. Uh, in that the artwork feels a little bit more. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It's not nearly as stylized.
Yeah,
It's stylized in a different way than from like what the Frankenstein stuff was. It's a little bit more cartoony,
feels like a lighter
uh,
tone, for
a
sure.
lighter tone. But it's still. I read the. I don't know if you got to the end where the what's her name Hicks
Faith Erin
wrote
Hicks
the
has
whole.
a letter in the
I
back.
think
Yeah.
yeah, and she kind of talks about how she really felt more in love with the romanticism of the Mummy. So I think
Mhm.
there's going to be a little bit more of that in there than the. There's going to be more of like a horror gothic romantic kind of feel vibes
Yeah,
to it than just the straight scary stuff. So once you get that in your head, I'm like, it's a great little beginning of a story. So yeah,
mhm.
I enjoyed it.
Great. Let me give you a quick synopsis for anybody that's looking forward to this. Helen Grosvenor is a woman born to two worlds and belonging in neither. Forever haunted by a cursed encounter as a child, when unknown voices bring her back to an Egyptian dig site from her past, Helen will unknowingly play an unexpected role in the rise of a monster only known as the Mummy. Um, yeah, I really like the introduction of this character, as this person who, she's of mixed descent, right? She's half British, half Egyptian, and living in Egypt, like she doesn't fully belong in either place, especially at this time. Well, like
Mhm.
what is it, like early 1900s or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
1920s.
yeah, there you go. So I love that idea. I like the conversations that because of her status, she doesn't really have a lot of friends either. So like the people she knows is like the kids of like the staff at her house. So there's always going to be some kind of barrier there. And then of course in the background you have like it almost feels like the Mummy is the secondary character, and this is
Yeah.
probably just for the setup, right? Because we don't really see a lot of that. We don't. It doesn't feel very supernatural. It just feels more like slice of life. Like this is like we're following this girl throughout her life, but it was pretty enjoyable. I like and I really like the art too. Like it really fits with the tone of the story.
Hmm.
Um, I haven't read much by this author, but I think they worked on The Last of Us. There was like a comic one shot, and then Avatar, and like a bunch of stuff like that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. And then did she create? Oh, she created a Squirrel Girl, not the main Squirrel Girl, just like a different version of Squirrel Girl in an alternate Earth. But yeah, pretty cool. I really enjoyed it, and for an artist to do like the whole thing on their own, that's always very difficult. But it helps like focus in the vision. And there's even more aspects I don't want to go into, like the stuff with the mirror and all that. Like I don't want to go into anything
Yeah.
because it might be spoilery. But you can see that they're playing with a lot of really fun stuff here.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like she is like it's based on this the main character, her, and then the Mummy. It's not secondary, but they're going to go careening. Her story is going to go careening straight into the Mummy story.
Yep. Yep.
Also, like, I mean, I know this story takes just for future reference. If you're in Egypt, just don't translate anything. I think that's the best way to not deal with the Mummy. Just stop
Yeah.
reading stuff out loud.
Well, they didn't know back then.
I know, I know.
We
But
know
now
now.
we know. We should know
Now we
now. We
know.
should know better.
Yeah.
But I feel like they're still cracking open old sarcophaguses left and right out there somewhere. And I'm just like, you
Yeah.
guys, you've never seen a movie before? Come on.
If anything, what we should do now is go to like all those places and put the stuff back.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Let's try to close up some of these portals to hell. Let's
that's right. But yeah, very exciting. We were talking before the show. Neither of us have ever seen the original Mummy. I think the main Mummy in our minds is of course the most well known, the Tom Cruise remake.
Yes,
I'm just kidding.
I love
No,
that.
of course the Brendan Fraser 1999 Mummy. Um, and you were talking about the romance part in that, so I definitely get that.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to. I need to. I know. I feel like if Josh were here, he would be scolding us both for not watching the
I
original
know.
Mummy.
It's his
But I
fault.
would at someday like to get. It is his fault. To get all those classic Universal movies like on Blu-ray at some point, just so I
Yeah,
could have them at my so I could watch them. I'm sure
yeah. I think
they have some kind of steel jacket case or
Josh
something.
has the collection of all of them, or like the main ones, I guess, or the first ones. I don't know. I'm sure they made a bunch of them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I like it. I also really like the mummy design. It's not like gory or anything. It's just like, yeah, I guess that's
it's
kind
just
of
a
what a dead
classic
body,
Mummy.
a dry dead body would look like.
Yeah,
Um, there was one thing I think in our, because the PDF that we get sent splits up the, whenever it's a double spread page, like it splits it up. But I think there's one where you see the sarcophagus and then the dad's reading it like in that page of the reveal.
yeah,
So I can't wait to see what this looks like on the in the book. Just to see like how that is kind of spaced out and really get the full effect of the full page
right,
um
right.
on some of those things. But yeah, very exciting stuff. I really like it. So recommend you pick this up coming up this week.